Hello YouTube. It's 1:05 p.m. Thursday. No, it's Wednesday. My bad. Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Um, yeah, things are kind of frightening money-wise. I don't understand how my Capital One card got maxed out so goddamn fast, but it is, and that's kind of what I was relying on to pay for my storage until some other gigs popped up, which other gigs haven't popped up. So I'm on my way. Well, not actually on my way to my storage right now, but it's definitely on my radar of something that I need to do. Something that I need to do today, or perhaps tomorrow, and just make sure that I don't have that on an auto pay on any card, because I don't think I have any card that has enough to cover how much it is. And I had a friend that actually kind of offered to help me with that, and felt pretty ignorant because he's like, "Well, how much is it?" I'm like, I don't know, and it's kind of frightening how much I don't know so often. I'm not really good at remembering a lot of numbers, and I guess it's easy to be like, well, how can you function like that? But the reality is that when there's enough, there's enough. I mean, I'm always relatively frugal, and I don't know, there's just always enough. I move money from point A to point B and cover bill C, and usually everything's just fine. But right now things aren't fine. So that's kind of where I'm at. So kind of went to a couple places. I had stashes of coins. I thought I might have a little bit more in the way of coins that I could roll up, but I got $12.50 in rolled coins, so that's something. On my way to Chase Bank to deposit that. Which reminds me, I better check and make sure I got a mask on me. Okay, yeah, I do. I don't know that Chase Bank is being that diligent about enforcing mask policy, but apparently for employees they still are at Costco. I know Wells Fargo is, and there are still at the Wells Fargo branch near me, 44th Street and Thomas, they're still being pretty aggro about their whole we're limiting the amount of people in our lobby thing, which is annoying as fuck, because you end up as a customer standing in a line outside, and it's horrifically uncomfortable. Yesterday I just had a really bad experience with that. I didn't have as much cash on me as I thought I did, and that was my bad. I should have, when I was at home, I should have counted it, as opposed to just kind of estimating what I thought was in the 3 different piles of cash that I had, and estimating and adding wrong, which I did. When I got to PLS to get the money order for my rent, I was a little bit short. Not a lot short, just a little bit short. I'm not sure how much. Probably by $18. But I mean, that's enough. They're not going to give me the money order. And of course, the worst thing of that is that I rode the bus there, which it takes an obscene amount of time, and I waited in a pretty lengthy line to get up and count my money in front of the cashier and have that embarrassing moment of not having enough. So, a lot of time and hassle wasted, and of course I wasted that cashier's time and the time of everybody behind me in line. And it's before 2020, I mean, granted, there is some times previously where I was there were times where I've had I went through some really, really hard times after my wife and I separated, and through my divorce and after my divorce. And it's kind of blurry as to when that was. It feels like we separated in August of 2002. I never thought those dates would become blurry to me, but they really are now. Seems like it was August of 2002 that we separated, and I was various shades of homeless until I got my apartment in May. Numbers are not jiving. I know it was summer of 2005 that I started hosting karaoke, and I was homeless at that time. And then, and I know I got my apartment. Well, no, I didn't get my apartment in May, come to think of it. I got my current apartment in May, and that's why my lease renews in May. But it seems like my apartment in Tempe I didn't get in May, but I don't remember when. Anyway, I want to say late 05, maybe early 06. I got my apartment in Tempe. And my first year or two in Tempe, things were pretty hand to mouth. I know I was waiting for my Social Security to come through. I was doing some karaoke, but not much, and I didn't have particularly great equipment, and I didn't have a particularly great music library either. I still feel like back then I did a pretty damn good karaoke show, and I was certainly attentive to singers as far as like what they wanted to sing, and I remember many journeys where people would, ask, there were songs people asked for that I didn't have. I'd be really sincere about, hey, you know what, I will do my best to get it. And this is before karaoke downloads were a thing. I'd tell people, hey, look, I'll do what I can to try to get it, and hey, please come back next week. And during the course of that next week, I would ride, this is before Phoenix Light Rail as well, I would ride the Red Line bus completely across town to Karaoke Now, which was at 19th Avenue in Northern, and I lived in Central Tempe, so very long, tedious bus ride. And I would ride to there and spend what little bit I could to get the discs for the songs that people wanted. And then from there, so I mean that would be a whole day spent on that, and of course go home and rip the CDGs to MP3G files. So I'd have them ready for the singers the next week, and and I don't think people realized how much time and effort was involved in that, but I did it. It was quite a while before things were really, really tight there for a while, because I still had custody of Allison, and there were expenses involved in that. I didn't have custody of her, but I had her 3 days a week, so I had her enough that there were definitely expenses involved. And I was still constantly going back to court with her mom trying to hit me up for child support, even though the judge had not ordered any. That's another story entirely. That ended bad, but it was yeah, those were pretty tough times thinking back on them. Somehow I didn't feel as pressured as now, and I guess the reason things feel so pressured now is just because I do have debt now, and the debt that I had then was all arising out of my divorce, and I just didn't give a shit about any of it. I just pretty much let it slide. I knew that my credit was fucked. Right now, I still feel like my credit is, I haven't really been paying close attention to my FICO, but I feel like it's still kind of okay as long as I can manage to keep making payments on everything and hopefully get another gig and start getting those balances back down. Everything's just kind of reliant at this point on me getting another gig, which just is something nobody seems to be willing to offer me. So last night I went into the Dirty Drummer, and as I suspected, they did hire somebody else. In fact, they hired Spencer back. Spencer was hosting. Spencer's credit, he was super nice to me. But I can't imagine he's so disconnected that he doesn't realize that his business is starving. I mean, literally starving me. Castaways, the owner of Castaways, strung me along for several months with text messages saying that he was going to bring me back once he was ready to start karaoke again at Castaways. And then I found out secondhand that he had hired Spencer. And Spencer's not the one doing the hosting, but is a host that works for Spencer. So functionally, he hired Spencer. And then he also, in all the stringing along of I'm going to bring it back to Castaways, he had told me that they weren't going to do karaoke at Gilligan's again. And they are doing karaoke at Gilligan's, and of course that's also being done by Spencer. Now, no, Spencer's personally hosting it. I just haven't even had the nerve to go back there. It's too emotionally frustrating to go in there and see somebody else doing that. It's right up there with finding out who's banging your ex-fiance that you really liked but decided to dump you. You just don't want to see that happening. So yeah, I haven't gone back there, but I do know it's Spencer they hired, and so yeah, to see that Spencer was hired into Dirty Drummer after, I want to say, over a year of the owner saying, oh yeah, well, we're not ready to start it back up again, but we'll. And he didn't say for sure he would hire me, but he definitely said he would consider me. And I guess maybe he did, but I don't know. I just would have appreciated another phone call or something. Anyway, I'm in line at the bank.